as I said, we don't know where VR is going to go. It's like in its infancy, the way film used to be in the 20s and the way computers were in the 70s. And everybody's like, how long should a film be in the 20s? They were like, what's the best way to tell a story? How do we do this? And then, 100 years later, you've got all the fast cuts and you've got, everything sort of like worked out on how to tell a great story in film. Well, VR is sort of like film in the 20s, where it's like, we've got this really great platform that makes this magical world that people can stand in and interact with. But what do we do with it? So, certainly the gaming aspect has been figured out. That was kind of like the low hanging fruit, but there's so much more, like, educational wise, what you can do with it. And, now theater, is, especially nowadays during a pandemic, everybody's stuck at home, all the theaters are closed. Nobody can really go out and experience theater the way they used to, at least for a while. This is a sort of given this platform an opportunity to explode. The Under is kind of grown into this whole world. So there is a multiplayer world or universe where you find yourself in what feels like a vaudevillian theater. And there's a stage with some pre-recorded acts. And then there are also live actors in the experience that interact with the players, for want of a better word. The players can't speak. They can do some magic. They can take off their masks and they can do some fancy magic, and they can snap and they can move around, but they can't speak. Only us actors can speak. So that's the Under, and we do all kinds of fun stuff in the Under. I have several different characters that I play in the Under, and all the other actors as well, and their own different storylines and their own experiences, their own relationship with the players. Because what's been so interesting about that is there's been a whole community that has grown within the Under of players who've been there for a long time, and then new ones will come in, and it's almost like, well, as soon as you walk in, you have friends. They're sort of instant friends. Everybody's so very kind and excited and collaborative for the most part to see you. This is very different from most games one would experience in VR. And then there's also another aspect. It's the single player aspect. It's called the time bubble that you would go on as a player and do, by yourself. You sort of watch these characters live out a scene on a boat. So that's a lot of fun. And then they just recently opened the Tempest. So the Under presents the Tempest. So now there's a theater in the Under where you can go and buy a ticket and see a live performance of the Tempest with one of 11 actors. We are all differently trained. We all have different backgrounds. So we all bring something a little different. Certainly the Tempest started with a script, and we learned the script, we rehearsed the script, and then as we got super comfortable with it, then Samantha, the writer and director and the co-owner of Tender Claws, she allowed us the freedom to sort of take it in our own direction a little bit and have our own sort of, take with it. And you have to ad-lib, because there are things that the players will do, and you just have to be like, oh, okay, so now you've just created Buster the dog. So I guess Miranda now has a dog, and the dog's following Miranda down. And, it creates spontaneity and a sense of aliveness, and that every show is different because every Prospera has a different sort of feel. And so you could come to see it many times and see a different show every time.
Let's set the stage. Put on your headset. Imagine a ship at sea. The illusion of a storm and tempest. A production sunk. A theater closed. But I, the actor, am live, ready to perform my role. Good Prospero will bring the play to life with the help of my magic and my spirits. We are ready now to perform together. Approach my Ariel. Come.
Well, the audience needs to have an Oculus Quest or Rift for the Tempest. They would go in and they go into the Under Presents, find the theater and buy a ticket. It's all pretty self-explanatory once you're in there. I'm on Mondays and Wednesdays. We do the show runs all week through September 30th. So shows are this is all Pacific Standard Time. They're 4 to 7. So there's a show at 4, 5, 6, and 7 on Mondays through Fridays. And then on the weekends, it's 11, 12, 1, and 2. I only am on Mondays and Wednesdays, and it's random who you're going to get. You don't know who it is because there's several of us on in an evening. So you can see it many times and never see the same actor, or you could see it twice and see the same actor. It's all quite random, but that's part of the fun. Well, it's about the Tempest in the Under Presents is about a 40-minute experience, a 40-minute show, and they come into the show and you're sort of surrounded by a campfire at a Hollywood Hills home. And the idea is, there's an actor there who is now out of work, but wants to rehearse for a show that she has coming up, The Tempest, Shakespeare's The Tempest, and enlists the help of all of the spirits around the fire. Now, of course, you're not going to get the entire Tempest in this. You're going to get good story arcs in that it sort of follows, in a general term, the Tempest story, but it's more about the themes and the ideas of magic and illusion, and we get to take you to different environments because that's the magic of VR. And we will often ask players to engage in some way, and actually almost every scene there's a way to engage with the players. So like we cast them in roles, there's some actors do like little games, like, oh, let's pick up all these logs and put them in a pile in under 30 seconds. Or they can go explore we ask them to go explore the world a bit, and then we play a scene based on, some of the items in the world. So there's a lot of play. There is direction, of course, from the Prospero, but there's also agency to go over here and look at that, and go over here and do that, or you're using your body language to enact Miranda's scene with Ferdinand. The Tempest is such a unique theater experience because right now everybody's sort of stuck at home, can't go out to the theater, missing that connection of the theater. So the Tempest offers that. There is something rather magical too about VR. There is this world that you're all of a sudden immersed in. And everywhere you look, it's this magical world, and it allows you the freedom to sort of shrug off your real world burdens and get lost in this magic. I think that there is also something quite interesting about the way VR has allowed people to connect. Like, even when I reach out to like hold somebody's hand in VR, part of your brain sees your hand going out to reach somebody else's hand, and the brain imagines what that feels like, fills in those pieces. And so if you shake somebody's hand, or if you give them a hug, there is a part of you that's satisfied by that imagery, and then your brain filling in the rest. So there's a beautiful connection that happens, a beautiful magic, an escape from the rest of the world. A lot of times we don't allow ourselves to play as adults, but it's proven to like stimulate brain growth and helps us with our cognitive abilities and memories. And it also allows us to just be in the moment and enjoy the moment, and not get goal oriented at, I have to be here at X time, I have to get this done. You get to play and just be in the moment. My favorite scene doing Prospero. Oh, there's so many. There's so many. I think one of my favorite things is at the end of the blessing ceremony with the goddesses. We all get in there and we hug. We do a very big group hug, and then magical things will happen. Like one of the players, like if they're fairly knowledgeable about the under, they'll know some magic spells and can create items in the world. So they created a big cupcake, this giant cupcake, which I said was the blessing ceremony cake that we could all have after the blessing ceremony. So after we hug, I like grab the cake. I'm like, here, have some cake. Let's do a face plant in the cake. And so we all just sort of put our faces in a virtual reality cake and just got a little crazy with the cake. It was fun and hilarious. The audience must come see The Under Presents Tempest because it's a magical experience, unlike any other. First, that it's in VR, that they can attend from their home remotely, and also that they are not just watching it, they're also participating it. They will learn some magic that they can do. And they will become magical creatures. Some of them will be in it, as Miranda, as Ferdinand, as a goddess. And there is no real pressure in that, because if anybody doesn't want to, then it's sort of easy to see that they don't want to participate in that. But there's also something that's liberating about being anonymous and being behind a mask. And in the Tempest, as a player, you literally have a mask that you can put on and take off. So you're behind this mask. I mean, it's not like you see the mask, you only notice it when you take it off, but it allows for them to shrug off the real world and just give themselves carnival license to do things they wouldn't normally do, and to play and have fun. So yeah, come out, see the Tempest and play with us. Is this the future of theater? I think in part, certainly a part of theater's future is in VR. As I said, we don't know where VR is going to go. It's in its infancy, and everybody, it's kind of been accelerated by the pandemic. Now everybody's sort of stuck at home looking for different ways to have an experience, to connect. And so there are so many different ways this can go, and it's going to be exciting to see where VR goes. Tender Claws is an amazing studio. I am honored to be an actor with them, and I'm so grateful because they're pushing the boundaries of what VR is in the world and what theater is in the world. It's super exciting. They themselves are so creative, so smart, they treat their actors so well. I'm super happy and grateful to be working with them. The Tempest is a small part of it, because then there's The Under Presents, then there's also the Time Belt. But even before that, they did another game which is magical, called virtual reality, and they've got other things in the works. So I see just a small portion, and I am so floored and wowed by the magic and the creativity that is coming out of that studio.
Let's set the stage. Put on your headset. Imagine a ship at sea. The illusion of a storm and tempest. A production sunk, a theater closed. But I, the actor, am live, ready to perform my role. Good Prospero will bring the play to life with the help of my magic and my spirits. We are ready now to perform together. Approach my Ariel. Come.